He called Ajoke to his study once more, this time with a new instruction. We will let her serve me and you will swap the food, but this time I will pretend to be ill after eating it. Ajoke's eyes widened. Sir, that's dangerous. Oh, I know. I will help you. She will not catch you, Ayola said, his voice low but certain. I need her to believe she is succeeding. Only then will she relax, and then we will strike. Ajoke nodded, though worry etched her face. I will be ready, sir. That Sunday afternoon, Adora prepared yam porridge with dry fish, a dish she hadn't made in months. She insisted on dishing the meal herself and carried it to the dining room with exaggerated care. Just then, Ayola called her into the bedroom, and that was Ajoke's cue to carry out the swap. As planned, Ayola ate the food, even giving compliments. This tastes like the early days, he said, with a nostalgic smile. Adora blushed and sat beside him, watching closely. But what she didn't know was that a small camera embedded inside a decorative wall clock captured her exact movements, from when she added the powder, to how she placed the tray, to her reaction as Ayola continued to enjoy every bite. That evening, Ayola excused himself early, claiming fatigue and stomach pain, just like Adora had expected. In his study, he reviewed the footage once more. Every act of manipulation, every attempt to harm, now immortalized in high definition. He sent copies of the footage to his lawyer, his trusted cousin in Port Harcourt, and even stored a backup in the cloud. By midnight, he had made another decision. It was time to confront Adora. But not yet openly. He wanted her to fall into her own trap, to feel invisible, because nothing breaks a snake more than making it believe it cannot be caught. The game had entered its final phase, and Ayola was ready to strike. The next few days passed like a game of chess. Adora, completely unaware of the footage Ayola had gathered, continued her routines with elegance and deception. She cooked, smiled, and played the devoted wife to perfection. But Chief Ayola now dined with sharpened senses. He watched everything: her expressions, her movements, the lingering glances she cast at the tray. He avoided eating alone, always finding a reason to have someone nearby. Sometimes it was Brian, their 14-year-old son, who had now returned from boarding school. Other times, his cousin, who lived just a few blocks away. And every time, he played his part, pretending not to know, pretending to love. Ajoke, meanwhile, took extra precautions. She became Adora's shadow in the kitchen, always offering to assist, always alert for any suspicious move. There were moments when Adora seemed suspicious, when she paused too long or asked probing questions. But Ajoke held her nerve. One evening, Ayola decided it was time to heighten the act. During dinner, he made a show of coughing violently. He clutched his stomach and stood abruptly, staggering out of the dining room. Adora's face flickered with a mix of panic and satisfaction, an odd, twisted smirk that vanished the moment she noticed Ajoke watching. But Adora was no fool. She had noticed the shift. Chief Ayola no longer ate freely. He delayed meals, requested company, and seemed to always need her attention right after she served his meal. Something had changed, and she needed to act fast. She decided to use sentiment one evening, preparing his favorite, peppered goat's meat and white rice, with a chilled glass of zobo. She made sure he was at the table before serving it herself and sitting beside him, dressed in the pink lace blouse he had once complimented. "I want us to start over," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "We've been so distant. I miss you. I miss us." Ayola nodded slowly. "You are right. Maybe we both need to try harder." She lifted a fork of rice and fed it to him. He knew he had to play along so she doesn't suspect. He opened his mouth, chewed and swallowed. She then urged him to take a sip of his zobo drink. A minute passed, then another. No reaction. Adora relaxed, sipping her zobo. Ayola waited, knowing that Ajoke was not able to swap this meal. As he got up to leave the dinner table, he collapsed on the dining floor, groaning in pain. Adora dropped her paws and screamed. Ajoke ran in behind her, eyes wide. "Call the doctor! Call the doctor!" Adora shouted. The news spread quickly. Chief Ayola had fallen mysteriously ill. Adora wept at his bedside, holding his hand, calling pastors, and playing the part of the grieving wife. But inside the study, Ayola's legal team was already setting the wheels in motion. Ajoke had retrieved the camera footage. Everything from meal preparation to final serving had been recorded. This time, there was no ambiguity. But Ayola wanted more. He wanted to expose not just the act, but the motive. Knowing that a day will come when Ajoke will not be able to swap his poisoned food, he had secretly asked his doctor to prepare an antidote for the poison. He took this without anyone knowing, but pretended to be ill, just so Adora would think she is still in control. He had installed a second set of cameras in the upstairs lounge, a place where Adora often took private calls. It didn't take long before she struck gold. The night after Ayola fell ill, Adora was on a video call, dressed in a silk nightgown. She spoke softly, sweetly, with laughter in her voice. "I think it worked this time," she whispered. "He collapsed right after drinking the zobo. He is ill now and will die of natural causes. Then we will get everything." The voice on the other end, a man, laughed. "Good girl. We can finally be together without any secrets." Ayola stared at the footage, stunned. Her betrayal ran deeper than just poisoning his meals. There was another man, and they are both planning his death. With the new revelation, Ayola shifted strategy. He instructed his cousin, Fola, a former member of the DSS, now turned private investigator, to dig into Adora's phone calls. The name that came up shocked him. It was Femi Arinze, his former protégé. Femi had once worked at Ayola Holdings, but was dismissed for financial misconduct. Ayola had spared him jail time, but warned him never to return. Now, he was sleeping with his wife and planning his death. Fola trailed Adora for 2 days and confirmed the affair. Adora met Femi at a discreet hotel in Lekki. The recordings show them kissing at the entrance, checking in under false names, and exiting hours later, hand in hand. Ayola felt a strange calm as he watched. His pain no longer emotional, it was now tactical. He downloaded the footage, attached it to the poisoning videos, and compiled everything into a secure folder. Then he called his lawyer and said, "It is time." Chief Ayola stood at the balcony of his study, watching the sky as it slowly turned into grey. Rain was coming, and so was judgment. Everything he had uncovered, Adora's poisoning, the affair, the lies, all locked and loaded in a secure folder marked Truth. He called for a family gathering. "We need to talk," he told Adora. "I want Brian there too. It is time we clear the air." She looked confused, a little tensed, but she agreed. Brian sat at the leather sofa between his parents. He sensed something serious was about to unfold. Ajoke stood quietly at the edge of the room, her hands folded in front of her. Fola, Ayola's cousin and quiet enforcer, waited just outside the door. Chief Ayola began calmly. Adora, how long have we been married? 17 years, she replied cautiously. And in those 17 years, did you think about killing me? Chief Ayola asked. She froze. What? Okay, let me rephrase. Did you try to poison me? Adora stood up abruptly. What are you talking about? Ayola pulled out a remote and pressed play on the large TV screen. Footage rolled, her in the kitchen, adding powder to the food, whispering on the phone with Femi, and the hotel meetup. It played out like a courtroom drama. Brian gasped, Mom! What are you doing? Adora broke into a panic. This is all manipulated. It is all AI. He is trying to set me up. Ayola turned to Brian. Go to your room, son. When Brian left, Ayola faced her. This is your last chance to speak the truth. Adora collapsed into a chair. You drove me into it. Your coldness, your control. I needed someone who saw me, who heard me. I am a woman. I need my husband. But you've been focusing on your business and you have left me by myself. What was I supposed to do? Ayola's voice dropped. You mean you wanted to kill me because of this? Didn't I provide everything you needed? Didn't I give you all the money you asked for? What more did you want from me? I wanted love. I wanted affection. I wanted you to be there. I wanted you to be present, to see me, to hear me, to talk to me, to spend time with me. Ayola looked down and he signaled to Fola, his cousin. Fola arrived with the police. They escorted Adora out of the mansion as she screamed and cried, clutching her lace wrapper. You can't do this to me. I am your wife. But Ayola didn't look back. Brian stood at the top of the stairs, watching the chaos below. Ajoke gently placed a hand on his shoulder and told him it was going to be fine. Ayola's house became a media frenzy the next day. News of the attempted poisoning and adultery scandal broke online. Bloggers had a field day. Photos from the hotel surfaced. Everyone had something to say. Yet, amidst the chaos, Ayola remained focused. He held a private meeting with his lawyer and Fola. We need a paternity test, he said quietly. A paternity test? For what? Fola asked. I need to know if she lied about this. I need to know if he's really my son. If she could try to kill me, what else could she have done? The test was arranged discreetly. Brian's DNA was compared to Ayola's. When the test result came, Ayola locked himself in his study. It took him 3 hours to come out. When Ajoke met him in the hallway, he looked like a man aged by grief. He is not mine, but he is still my son. I will never let him suffer for his mother's sins. Ajoke broke down in tears. That night, Ayola wrote a letter, not for Adora, not for the media, but for Brian. He folded it neatly and slid it into an envelope. He left it on Brian's desk with a single instruction. Read this when you are alone. Brian sat on his bed that night, the letter trembling in his hands. It was filled with kindness, truth, and pain. His father explained everything, but without bitterness. He never once called Adora names. He never lashed out. He only expressed love and a desire to protect Brian from the consequences of adult betrayal. Tears flowed down Brian's cheeks as he read. Then he did something unexpected. He walked into Ayola's study and he hugged him tightly. The relationship between them had not been the best. Brian had wanted to have more father and son relationship with Ayola, but everything had just moved so quickly. They had drifted apart so much and it seemed like it was impossible to come back. "I'm sorry, Dad," he whispered. Ayola hugged him tightly. "You did not do anything wrong, my son." In that moment, something healed between them. Blood or not, they were father and son. Meanwhile, Adora sat in a holding cell awaiting her bail hearing. Her lawyer had managed to slow down the case, but the evidence was damning. Worse, Femi had vanished. The man she risked everything for had ghosted her. Kama, it seemed, had a brutal sense of timing. Ajoke from the kitchen watched the family try to slowly rebuild. She saw the relationship between Chifayola and his son, and it was indeed remarkable. She remained quiet, humble, and ready to serve. But Ayola had other plans. He invited her into the living room one quiet evening. The house was calm for the first time in weeks. The lights were dim, the mood reflective. "Ajoke," he said, gesturing to the seats opposite him. "Do you know why I asked you here?" "No, sir," she replied, her hands folded neatly on her lap. He looked at her, long and hard. "You saved my life. You didn't just swap plates. You risked everything, your job, your safety, and even your future." She blinked, saying nothing. "I owe you more than gratitude. I owe you justice, protection, and if I'm being honest, I owe you my life." Ajoke's heart raced. "Sir, it's okay. I'm happy everything is fine now." The next thing he said shocked her. "I want you to consider leaving this house. Not as a maid, but as someone who deserves better. I have secured a place for you to study. You will have a small apartment, full sponsorship, and anything you need." Her eyes widened. "Sir, why would you do that for me?" "Because you are capable of more than this. And because I won't let your loyalty be the end of your story." Ajoke stood up slowly. Her voice trembled. "I don't know what to say." "Then say yes," he replied, holding her closely. She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. Ayola could feel the tension in his heart. It felt like there was a war between gratitude and something deeper, something dangerously close to love.